Before beginning this presentation, I would like to express my deep appreciation to the organizers of this conference for allowing me the opportunity to be able to address you from the state of Veracruz in Mexico and to share a few words with you. Many thanks to the Schiller Institute. I've always maintained that mankind represents nature's greatest achievement. We are its triumph and expression. We are the only species on the planet that is conscious of being conscious, and which can discern its own actions and even redirect the path which nature itself has taken. This is possible because man is also a part of nature which creates its own environment. This is a result of the action of nature itself, because since man is also an expression of nature, it is doubtless the case that nature wishes this destiny for itself. That is, occupying and utilizing the biosphere to expand itself and use energy for a greater end, creating a network of intelligence on the surface of the Earth, which leads to the expansion of life beyond Earth through its most valuable tool, human beings. What I mean to say by the above is that mankind is reaching a moment in which it requires great amounts of energy to sustain itself at a high level of civilization, which, by means of the self-organization which occurs naturally, advances to the next level. This is the battle against entropy, which life itself wages at an individual and a group level as a society. Because life is a thermodynamic disequilibrium, and this process repeats itself in communities, whether large or small, and it is what maintains us at various levels of civilization. In a word, species need to use energy from their environment to subsist, as do societies and civilization, which repeat that pattern, where the amount of energy used determines the degree of progress. For this reason, mankind's occupying the biosphere must begin to be seen from a different standpoint, a standpoint which contributes to serving the advance of mankind and its current civilization, which is the highest expression of nature, and not to its collapse, as some groups seek. Man must become the manager of nature, since he has dominion over it as a being who is conscious of being conscious. The energy matrix of our current civilization must be increased and not diminished, as some would do, because the only thing that this would accomplish is the destruction of our current model of civilization and sink thousands of people into poverty and technological backwardness. I am part of a current of scientists and intellectuals who are opposed to the policy of decarbonizing the planet, a decarbonization which is imposed by supranational institutions such as the IPCC of the United Nations, based on a paradigm of a false planetary environmental emergency, which asserts that anthropogenic carbon dioxide is the cause and main reason for global warming, and therefore of the misnamed climate change, which has become a public policy in many countries, especially in those of the third world, which need a lot of energy to overcome their pitiful condition, and in the industrialized countries, in order to return them to energy matrices which are inferior to the current ones, destroying many economies and sources of employment. And it is our battle in Veracruz, because we are concerned about how these ideas of decarbonization to save the planet have begun to penetrate ideas which come from London and whose base of operations in Mexico, the British Embassy, has penetrated Veracruz with programs to reduce the energy matrix, deceiving the population and the government about its benefits. Veracruz was the first Mexican state, and the first in the Americas, to approve in its state Congress a law for mitigation of and adaptation to the effects of climate change. We sought its repeal, since that law in Veracruz violates human rights by saying that carbon dioxide is a contaminating gas, which makes man a contaminator, since that is what we exhale. Did the noble British forget basic physiology? Or was it done with amusing premeditation? Yes, we are 7 billion human beings, and who, according to these monarchies, exhale CO2, and are therefore guilty of global warming. Although our information indicates, by the way, that we are heading towards a cooling period of more than 40 years. I will say it loud and clear. The British Crown has no business in Veracruz, since the Americas are for Americans. It should be emphasized that the Optimum Population Trust, founded in 1991, promotes eliminating between 3 and 5 billion people by 2050. The question is, should a free and democratic people make agreements with monarchies with genocidal tendencies who consider themselves monarchs by divine right? We will say it loud and clear. The cause of the warming of the earth is not human beings. It's the sun, as a result of variations of the solar constant, associated with cycles in the functioning of the magnetic field of the sun. That is expressed with the appearance of sunspots, which determine the changes in the climate of the Earth and the solar system. For that reason, I say this on behalf of all scientists who have been mistreated because they have stated that the policies on climate change are mistaken and that they would take mankind towards a disaster called poverty, energy shortages, and hunger, as well as social degeneration. Because with a policy of decarbonization, we will diminish our energy matrix and increase our social entropy. That is what a green economy will bring us. All based on an unproven hypothesis, creating a speculative bubble which will enrich a handful of people. Thus, the importance that the Glass-Steagall law has, which must be approved not only in the United States, but in all of the legislatures of this planet, and in that way put an end to the green economy and to the speculation which comes from it. For that reason, alternative energy sources are not sufficient to sustain our civilization, and we must not fall prey to those projects. For the world to eliminate economic and energy poverty and to leap to the next level of civilization, it is necessary to make use of nuclear energy, make it more efficient, and improve it. The next natural step is to bet on nuclear fusion if we do not want to devolve and return to ruralism. The monarchies do not see human beings. They see subjects. And we free men should not make agreements with them, nor allow their ideas to penetrate the minds of our youth, nor of our institutions. We need a pedagogy of the biosphere based on postulates and axioms which transform our vision of what surrounds us, and which allows us to take control of the resources of our country under a paradigm not of scarcity, but of abundance. because what controls us today is the idea of resources being finite. This is false. The Earth's natural resources are inexhaustible. We do not need 3 planets Earth to sustain the population's next generation. All we need is to manage them and to have a vision which allows us to raise up the rest of humanity, which is living in a low energy state. That suffering humanity is also part of nature. It is also part of the environment. May these words serve as homage to a free mind, the distinguished scientist Vladimir Vernadsky, an inspiration to free scientists. Thank you very much.